Thank you for joining us here at Lowry Sports Rhetoric. I'm your host, Nathan.
I'm Daimon.
We're going to continue on in the AFC North, and we're going to go ahead and go with the Cleveland Browns.
Get your popcorn ready. This is going to be fun.
A lot to say about them. This is 2021. They went 8-9. They were third in the AFC North. No playoffs.
Oh, hold on. Before you go forward, let's just set the stage here for a little bit. Nate has been on a Browns thing for...
Brady Quinn. I would have to say since Brady Quinn.
Look, but for sure since they got Baker.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Nate has picked the Browns to be the team.
Yeah.
That's going to make that jump. Yeah. That's going to make that leap. That's going to go to the Super Bowl. He loved Baker. He loves the team. This has been his next to the... I think it's safe to say next to the Colts, this is the team you've wanted to win the most over the last 5 years.
Yeah, the Chargers are going to jump over them just because of my boy Herbert. I love him and all that stuff. But yeah, I do want to see the Browns, and I would actually say it goes back to Brady Quinn. I don't know why. I just really like Brady Quinn. When he came into the Browns, it was like, okay, I started really rooting for him. And if you are a Browns fan and you're watching this, you obviously know how it has turned out since Brady Quinn. I mean, literally just a revolving door of quarterbacks.
Right. And so, I think both of us felt last year was the year that we were going to see
so good.
The Browns finally break through.
Yeah.
That Baker was going to do enough, and that they had built so much talent around him that was going to be the year, right? This is the breakthrough.
Yeah. And they ended up
and
third,
instead
third in the AFC. They went 8-9. All right. So offensively, they had 18th. They were 18th in yards, 20th in points. It's pretty disappointing. Fifth in yards allowed. Their defense is good. 13th in points allowed. Their GM is Andrew Berry. 3 years now in the league as the GM. And then the head coach is Stephen Stefanski. 3 years now for the Browns.
So I think both of those guys... it's always hard. I mean, they've built good teams, but they haven't quite got what you wanted. Stefanski brought in, I remember I was a little skeptical of Baker. You were really convinced that this guy was going to make Baker a better quarterback. I wasn't so sure. I think he did. I think it took him about half a season his first year to figure out what the best offense for Baker would be. Once he figured that out, they did good doing it. And then last year, it seemed like they took a step back.
Well, I think a lot has to do with the injury to Baker. I mean,
right.
People do kind of overlook that, especially when you're looking at stats and you're looking at how it played out.
Well, and not just the Baker, but also the running backs were hurt.
Sure.
And I think that leaning on the running backs really, not being able to lean on the running backs and Baker being hurt at the same time, really made things tough.
It did.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah. Free agent additions. You've got Jakeem Grant, wide receiver out of Chicago. What do you know about him?
Special teams guy. But really good special teams guy. The Bears did not want... We wanted to keep him. And we had to draft somebody to replace him, specifically a special teams guy to replace him. I don't think that the Bears wanted him to walk. He's a really good special teams guy. He might catch a couple balls here and there. He's fast. He might do something. But primarily special teams guy.
And then they brought in Jacoby Brissett.
Big time quarterback acquisition. Well, that was a Freudian slip. We'll get to that in a few minutes. This wasn't the big time accusation. Jeez, I can't even.
Accusation?
I can't get past it.
It's not the big.
It's obviously what's on my mind.
This is not the big quarterback.
Obviously, what's on my mind with this team.
Brought in Jacoby Brissett, who he played for us.
You're familiar with him. Yeah. What can they expect from your guy?
A backup. That's what they can expect from him.
Now, 4 years ago, he would have told you he was on the verge of becoming a Pro Bowler. But not anymore.
Look, I support our quarterbacks. I support our quarterbacks. Listen, he is a backup. That's what he is. He never took that. He never took that leap, and just showed that he couldn't take that leap. But I think as a backup, he definitely can win you games.
He's a good backup. He is a solid backup that's going to win you a handful of games. He can come in and finish a game if necessary. But he's not going to take you to the playoffs as a starter. And if he ends up starting more than 10 games, you're not going to have a good season,
Yeah,
guys. Sorry. Just not going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, like, how would that even? Could you even imagine a scenario that would happen? That they would bring in a quarterback? Like, the only thing that could happen is if you paid a whole bunch of money for somebody that got suspended for a year, and then the guy who actually was winning you games ends up maybe
he's so disgruntled that he demands
or
a trade, so you trade him.
That would be the only way that could happen. So let's not. Let's not get
seems so
too crazy.
far-fetched.
It is kind of far-fetched.
Can't imagine
how a team would do that. Anyways, the next is Tavon Bryan, defensive tackle out of Jacksonville. And, I mean, you know, and he's from Jacksonville. So, I don't know.
So he probably just needs good coaching and he'll be a stud.
Probably because he didn't get good coaching there. All right. Corey Bajorquez, punter out of Green Bay. Obviously, if you need a punter, go get yourself a punter.
So, could you say his name one more time?
No. Look, I'm terrible with names, so I'm sure I messed that up. Do you know how to say that name?
Okay. I don't know, but the way you said it, I can't imagine that's right.
I don't know how to say it. All right, Stephen Weatherly, defensive end out of Denver. Again, like none of these are big names, really.
Well, I think he's okay. He's decent.
Yeah.
He's a decent player. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know much about Weatherly, but Isaac Rochelle, defensive end they brought in from Indiana. Didn't see much playing time. I think he came from the Chargers. Was that where he came from? Anyways, there was Rochelle. Rochelle is to me, he's a backup, so they're going for depth here.
Well, they do have some pretty good starters at those.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, obviously they're going for depth. I'm just saying. All right, Joshua Dobbs, quarterback that they brought in from Pittsburgh. Again, backup quarterback. I'm sure that they're looking for that, just in case something happens. But yeah, Dobbs.
Just in case that big accusation doesn't pan out.
Ethan Pokic, guard out of Seattle. Depth there. Free agent losses. They lost Austin Hooper, tied into Tennessee. And I could see that being a little bit.
I think that could hurt him.
Yeah, it definitely could. Hooper's good. He's somebody that I was hoping we would get.
No.
Andy Jurovich, fullback out of Houston to Houston. Okay, you lost a fullback. Javaris Landry, wide receiver to New Orleans. And look, I don't know. I like Javaris Landry. I do. I think that they had a good rapport with him and Baker, but it seemed like he didn't really want to play with Baker. I don't know. He's a good wide receiver. They brought in some though. So during trades.
When we get to trades, we'll discuss the replacement.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's what six of one, half a dozen of the other. I think with Landry, it's kind of like, look, he is a good receiver. If he would have stayed, I think they would have liked him. But as it was, hey, he moved on. You know what I mean? Like MJ Stewart, cornerback to Houston. Rashad Higgins, wide receiver to Carolina. Afidia Onaga, defensive end to Indianapolis. And like you said, they got good players at that position. He's not like a huge loss.
And then they replaced some of those other guys who.
Yeah. So I think overall they really did do a good job in free agency. Just a matter of trimming fat off the team and kind of shifting things to match what they needed to do to play here. So trades. Okay, so we've got Troy Hill, cornerback from the Rams. To the Rams for the 2023 fifth round pick, so not much.
I think that was just to fulfill the new league rule that every team has to trade a decent player to the Rams.
Oh.
I think that was just fulfilling that rule.
Yeah. Casey Keenum, quarterback, he went to the Bills. Again, backup. Although he's a good backup. He's a good backup, but I think what? I
don't know that he's substantially better. I'd probably pick him over Brissett, but I don't think there's enough there to go that's a huge drop off. I mean, it is what it is. Those are both solid backups. Neither one of them is going to win you games on their own. They're both going to be solid backups. So I don't think it's a substantial drop off.
Yeah, I would take Keenum over him, but you're right. It's probably just not much.
Small.
All right, and then here's a little trade that happened. Deshaun Watson, quarterback from Houston to Cleveland for a 23 first and third, a 24 first and fourth, and a 22 first and fourth. Oh,
we call that a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Draft picks.
Okay, so like really when you get into this, man, you have to think about this. And here's the thing too. Okay, so we live in Oklahoma. Okay, we live in Baker Mayfield fandom. Like these people literally think that he is a god, man. It is crazy. It is crazy. I love Baker Mayfield. I do. But you have to look at it from perspective of, is Baker Mayfield better than Watson? No. He's not. Watson is a better player. He is. So when you're looking at the Browns...
He was the last time he played.
Okay, listen. Talent-wise, there is no way that Baker Mayfield is better than Deshaun Watson.
I'm just saying. Look, I'm just going to get right down to it right here. There is a possibility, and there are rumors flying, that the NFL wants to suspend this dude for the season.
And I think that's going to happen.
It's probably going to happen.
I think so.
At that point, he will have gone 2 years without touching the football.
That's rough.
This is not riding a bicycle.
Yes.
Okay? Those skills diminish when you don't use them, especially at this level.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? So you're paying him a ton of money. You gave up a ton of draft picks. And by the time he sees the field again, he could be so rusty that it takes him two more years to get back to where he was before.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it could.
Here's the thing: is that it is true, because you have to look at it and go like, hey, man, he is a better player than Baker, skill wise.
If he's on the field.
But yeah, it's exactly right. So I don't know.
And look, I can't even I can't even say this without saying this. I mean, you got to bring this up. You have to bring this up. There were accusations against him. Everybody knows what they were.
Yes.
Everybody knows. Okay. Some of that played out in court, and most of that felt like everything was done and whatever, nothing to see here, move along. And then the reports are he immediately goes to Cleveland and starts doing the same stuff. If I'm a Cleveland fan,
well, they did a poll.
He gets suspended for a year. He might get another year on him just because who knows what he's going to do during that year.
Yeah, they did a poll, and it was something like over 20,000 Bengals fans or Browns fans, and 70% of them said they wanted Baker Mayfield to be their starting quarterback and not Deshaun Watson. I mean, I feel like the Browns really, really screwed this up. I feel like they did. And like, again, I only said what I said about Deshaun Watson to throw out there and say, like, I can understand a little bit of how you could look at this and go, like, we have this team that on paper, we talked about on paper, should be a damn good team, and they just haven't been able to hit that. So obviously, Baker got injured.
Then throw all those draft picks to Seattle and bring in Russell Wilson, who doesn't have those accusations against him.
They probably tried that. You know what I mean? I'm sure that they looked into that. I mean, that's the thing. Is like
maybe. I just think here's the other thing too. Look, and maybe that is what it took to get him. There were other teams willing to get him too, but that's a lot to give up.
Well, I mean, it was almost a done deal with Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then they pulled him in because of the guaranteed money that they gave him.
Yeah.
Which really, unless they had something built into it that says, hey, if you get suspended, blah, 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 it's guaranteed money. So therefore, they probably didn't. They didn't.
I feel like, look, and maybe this will all be just talk. Maybe it's all just noise. That's definitely been the case in other stories with the NFL. But this feels like
the most Browns thing you could possibly do.
This feels like something where an organization for years screwed things up, and they finally were heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
And they figured out the only way they could go back to screwing it up.
I mean, seriously.
And did it again.
It is,
that's what it feels like from the outside looking in.
It is mind-blowing. Because again, look, Baker Mayfield, not a bad quarterback. Okay? No. Is he a great quarterback? No. But is he a bad quarterback? No. You know what I mean? He is...
And let's say,
And he loved playing for them. That's the thing, too, is like you're talking about a guy who just like loved the city, loved everything about it.
And here's the thing. They can't trade him now. There's no way you could trade him now with this thought that you can't. You're going to, we just talked about.
I disagree.
Jacoby Brissett, a good player. You cannot rely on him. You are not making the playoffs, and you're a team that needs to make the playoffs. How long of a career do these defensive players still have in them?
That's totally
How long? You cannot waste this year.
You have put together a good roster. You have put together a good roster. And again, I think that was the catalyst that made them push to go after Deshaun Watson. But it's still like, how can you screw this up that bad?
I don't think you could trade Baker. You cannot trade him at this point.
We'll see.
I don't think you can. And I think they kind of knew that, which is why he didn't get traded before. Yeah. Because I think they kind of, in the back of their minds, they were like, we should make sure before we get rid of Baker. And look, until you hear the
I don't
words,
know, like,
until you know what the suspension is, you cannot trade him.
and who knows what happens with Baker because of the fact that I personally myself believe what makes him the quarterback that he is that heart, man. It's that love. It's that you know what I mean? It's that no, this is my house, you know what I mean? It's that heart, man. He's got that. If he goes in there broken, you know what I mean? Like
I don't think he's going to go in there broken. I think he's going to go in there with a chip on his shoulder.
Good.
And this is the Ohio
himself a
State.
spot on
This is
somebody
the Ohio
else's
State
team.
grabbing his junk on the sideline, planting the flag at half. That's how he's going to feel.
I hope so.
He's gonna come in on fire. Like this is okay. This is what I honestly think is gonna. I'm predicting this. It's my prediction. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. I'm predicting that we're gonna have a 1-year suspension. Baker's gonna come out, play like a man on fire. They're gonna make the playoffs, and then he's gonna walk, and he's gonna get paid, and he's gonna go somewhere else, and it's gonna be the double one-finger salute on the way out the door, not to the fans of Cleveland, because I think he likes the fans of Cleveland, but to the front office and the head coach that chose to roll their dice on Mr. Massage, and that's what's gonna be, because that's Baker's mentality. I think he has the talent to do it. I think he'll probably put up his best career numbers, and then the boy is going to get paid. Now, next year we'll be talking about whether he's worth the money that he's going to get, because maybe when he's not playing with his hair on fire, he's not worth that. But I think it's going to happen. I really do. I expect that from him, as long as he can stay healthy. Always the caveat, and who knows. But that's my expectation.
I mean, I'm rooting for Baker, so I want to see him come out, destroy it, and then go somewhere else and win. You know what I mean? Like I like the kid a lot, so that's kind of what I hope happens. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, I know we got to get to the draft and everything,
Yeah.
but it's just this was the most explosive to me situation in the offseason. It is the story.
And just the fact that it's the Browns that it's happening to. Like, that's what, to me, blows my mind. Again, like I said, I've followed them through quarterback. You get to Baker Mayfield and you go, finally. Like, it feels like this guy fits here. This is home. This is such a good fit. You know what I mean? And just to have it blow up, like, it's just amazing. So, anyways. All right, we're going to go on with Amari Cooper, wide receiver trade.
Which was, when it happened, a big trade.
It was a big trade, yeah.
And then there were so many other big trades at both the wide receiver position and in Cleveland that it kind of became overshadowed. But at the time,
so we got
big trade.
Well, he got traded. Okay, it was Amari Cooper and a 2022 6th-round pick for a 22 5th round and 6th round pick. So they just switched 6th and add that 5th.
That was basically Dallas just getting done.
I mean, it's so stealing.
So yeah, like here's an interesting thing, because I think I like Amari Cooper better than you do.
Yeah.
But the Raiders gave up on him and the Cowboys gave up on him. That's interesting to me. That makes you wonder. There's something there. I like the guy. I think he looks like a talented wide receiver to me.
He is talented.
But there's these guys. There's a collection of them. And we probably can all name most of the names, Tio, where they just seem to keep moving on despite the talent. And locker room killer, bad apple.
Well,
I've never heard that stuff about
neither.
Amari Cooper, but the smoke is there that makes you wonder. The smoke is there that makes you wonder. I like the kid. I would have loved it. I wanted the Bears to trade for him. When I saw what Cleveland had to give up for him, I went, why are we giving that up for him?
There was nothing.
Because that's nothing.
Yeah.
But you do wonder.
He will improve that team. Obviously, from a skill standpoint, I mean, you know what I mean? You got, Odell left last year. You got Javaris Landry leaving this year. Amari's going to step in there, and he's going to become the number one guy. So that's...
yeah, but you got to wonder. You got to wonder.
Yeah, I mean,
and with the circus that we just discussed that's going on at quarterback, if he wants to start causing drama behind the scenes.
But like you said, you've never seen anything come out about him, so it's like, it is interesting.
Yeah,
Whatever it is that's going on with him.
Something weird.
It's not something that makes headlines, so that's something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
All right, Chase Winovich, defensive end from New England to Cleveland. That was traded just simply up for Mac Wilson, linebacker. I think Winovich's actually pretty decent, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This, like we said when we did our Patriots video, I never trust anybody coming out of New England. I never trust any. I don't care who it is. It could be my favorite player from FSU of all time could have played for New England, and when they left, I would have went, I'm not sure if they'll be any good because they played for New England.
Yeah, I don't
anyway,
know.
Just a thing that I have. It's like a thing that I have.
Yeah. It's, I mean,
That's more about me than him.
Yeah. Browns draft 2022, round 3, pick 68. They got cornerback Martin Emerson out of Mississippi State. Again, beginning here in round 3, so that's
Yeah,
their
yeah,
first
and
pick.
and a solid. I think like we talked about during the draft, corner was a deep position in this draft. You could get a potential day one starter in the third round this year at corner in this draft.
And I do
And
know
think
Emerson's good.
Emerson's good. He has the potential to be a day one starter. Good player.
Round 3, number 99, wide receiver David Bell out of Purdue, a guy who I would have liked to have seen us look at too. I mean, I'm sure that we probably did look at him. I would have been happy if we would have picked him because I do think he's got that speed. I think he's got a little bit of a hand issue, but he can definitely.
You're actually backwards on that.
Oh yeah, he's not fast.
He ran like a 4.740.
Oh,
So the interesting thing about Bell is he catches
that.
he catches so he catches everything. He made a ton of big plays, put up a ton of numbers at Purdue, but his measurables were
That's
like,
right. That's right.
what is going on
That's
here?
right. Productivity. That
He's
was the big thing I was
hyper productive, big body. Some people compared him to Anquan Bolden, where it's like, just hard to tackle because he's just strong and big. Can run those inside routes, can absorb a linebacker's contact. But the knock on him, or the question mark on him, and the reason he was a third-round pick instead of a first-round pick is
speed.
His athleticism did not test well at all. In like speed, quickness, jumping, like all across the board, he just didn't seem like he's a big body guy that's not an athlete. And so I think there's even some people that said maybe the best thing to do is try to get him even bigger and turn him to a tight end because that's where he was testing. But yeah, so this could either be a guy that doesn't do anything or a steal, because at one point when he was a freshman, like people thought he was going to be a first round pick for sure because his production was just off the charts. So
See what they can get out of him. Round 4, number 108, defensive tackle Perrion Winfrey out of Oklahoma. I like Perrion Winfrey.
I love that kid.
I think he's underrated. I really do.
I love that kid.
Yeah. So especially here in round 4, like I like that pick a lot. I think that's great.
A lot of whispers that maybe he wasn't used correctly.
I mean, I can see that.
That was, being here in Oklahoma City, that was talked about during the season, that maybe this guy's talent was being wasted because of not being just turned loose and letting him just kind of be a wreaker of havoc. Like he has the potential to be a wreaker of havoc.
Well, he's going on a team where he can learn from some really good players, and so
yeah, and he's not going to see a lot of double teams.
No. So I'm happy for Perry Winfrey going on there because again I like Perry Winfrey, so that's a good one. Round 4, number 124, kicker Cade York out of LSU. If you need a kicker, pick one up. I'll never know what to say about kickers.
I mean, I don't know what about drafting kickers, especially in the 4th round.
Especially in the 4th round, but hey, maybe he's a damn good kicker. I mean,
I guess if your special teams coach, if you super trust your special teams coach, and he's like, this dude's got it.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe, but I think that feels like. Why not get a kicker later?
Maybe
anyway.
Well, if he ever wins a game for him going into a playoffs or something like that.
You never know.
All right, round 5, number 156, running back Jerome Ford out of Cincinnati. I think he's a big dude, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's
like
got
a bowling ball kind of a guy.
He's got some speed too. He's got some breakaway ability. Transferred to Cincinnati from Alabama because. Well, I don't know if you've been paying attention to Alabama's backfield over the last few years, but it was kind of loaded. He had a really good season for Cincinnati.
I'd say he played well.
Very productive. As a young guy, I mean, they got some good running backs. So, will he see the field? Hopefully, those guys stay healthy, and he doesn't. But we talked before earlier in the thing that the injuries to the running backs was part of what hurt them down the road or coming down the stretch. So I think as a third-string running back, he could be good.
As another guy that's going to benefit from a good veterans ahead of him. He's going to learn what he's doing from some good guys. Yeah. So good for him. He's in a good position. So.
Yeah.
Round 6, number 202, wide receiver Mike Woods out of Oklahoma. And again, I think he's underrated as well.
I don't remember Mike Woods at all.
So here's the problem.
For some reason, I don't remember him.
Yeah. So here's the problem that he was having though is that. They had such drama in that wide receiving room and the whole with the offense period last year with Rattler and stuff like that. I just kind of think that he was kind of underutilized and it just was kind of a mess. So it's kind of hard to succeed in that way. I personally myself think he's underrated. I like Mike Woods better than a 6th round pick. again, there's really depth in this draft at wide receiver, so I can understand why some of these guys slip very far.
Yeah.
But I think in most drafts, I think Mike Woods would have actually been a higher up draft pick. So I think good for them. That's a good pick right here, in my opinion. Round 7, number 223, edge Isaiah Thomas, another player out of Oklahoma. It's like the third player out of Oklahoma that they went and drafted. So I don't know as much about Isaiah Thomas, so not sure that he stood out that much to me. But he's another player from Oklahoma, so good for Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
All right, round 7, number 246, center Dawson Deaton out of Texas Tech. Can't go wrong adding more stuff to your offensive line, man. You know what I mean? Competition. It's good competition. All right, we look at the Browns starters here, the projections at least. Deshaun Watson had no stats in 2021, did not play.
Will not have stats in this year either. Just saying.
Running back Nick Chubb, 1,259 yards, 8 touchdowns, 20 receptions, 174 yards, and a touchdown. Nick Chubb is a beast. He is a damn good running back.
Those stats were while dealing with injuries.
Yeah, I mean, look, absolutely. The Colts have a good running back. Nick Chubb is right up there with him, man. And I love Nick Chubb. I think he's a damn good running back. So, Not to mention they also have, what's his name?
From Kansas City.
Yeah, came from Kansas City. Oh, I'm going to kill myself that I can't remember his name. But
I knew his name until you asked me.
Yeah. Anyways, that's a damn good duo. That is probably the best duo in football, just when you took a talent level from one to the next, man. Those are really good.
And now you got Ford.
Yeah.
Who's going to be a young player coming up behind him.
Yeah. So
a lot of talent.
Obviously, wide receiver Amari Cooper, 68 receptions, 864 yards, and 8 touchdowns with Dallas. That is still high production. So not over 1,000 yards, but I don't know. That was kind of a mess over there as well. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, 34 receptions, 597 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is a young wide receiver that showed himself to be very capable and was really just a second, third option there for a little bit, and kind of broke out and became a top option during the rest of the season at the end there. And I think he's got a lot of room of growth, so I'd be excited to have him as a wide receiver there too. And then, of course, David Bell as the rookie come in. Those are what the projections are for the 3 top. And David Njoku, tight end, 36 receptions, 474 yards, and 4 touchdowns. It's decent productivity. So we'll have to see how that all goes there.
And he's young. He could still improve too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, obviously, when you look at their defense, this is where their bread and butter's at. Myles Garrett, 51 tackles, 16 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble for recovery. Myles Garrett is a literal bear. Like, I swear, I would love to see him go to Chicago just because he does. He looks like a human bear. And
I'll sign up for that.
I love Myles Garrett. Just don't go ripping anybody's helmets off and beating them with it, bro. Okay, so then you got Jadeveon Clowney, obviously, still 37 tackles, 9 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. I mean, he is still putting up productivity at his age, and I know he re-signed with them. Isn't that correct? So, otherwise, I don't think he'd be on this list. But, yeah, he did resign.
Yeah.
Anthony Walker, a guy I love, came over from the Colts to them last year. 113 tackles and a sack. Not the most productivity. 113 tackles is good, but I like Anthony Walker. He's a very solid player, very consistent, and just a veteran guy. You know what I mean? Somebody that you can rely on and count on. So, and you get into,
Denzel Ward.
Yeah, Denzel Ward. Good. Yeah, 43 tackles, half sack, 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, and 10 pass deflects. Yeah, absolutely. Grant Delpit, little underwhelming last year. He was a rookie last year. A little underwhelming with 6 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, 3 pass deflects. I'd like to see all of those kind of go up a little bit. But
yeah, I think Delpit, though, has potential.
He has a lot of room for growth.
To grow, yeah,
He's a good player. John Johnson, the third, 61 tackles, half sack, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions, and 5 pass deflects. Solid. Greg Newsome, 33 tackles and 9 pass deflects. So, man, it's such a good defense, though. And I got to be honest with you, it's the problem with Cleveland is you always have to say it looks good on paper because they just can't seem to really get there. So, I don't know.
Well,
all looks good on paper when you go through it.
Here's the other problem with Cleveland. That defense has been a good defense for a lot of years. But it stayed the same. When we get to the West and we start talking about the additions in the West, when you look at Buffalo made things to make their defense better. When you look at Kansas City made things to make their defense. We'll talk about them when we get to the West. The Bengals we just talked about. They're a team that's improved a little bit on their defense. I think the Ravens improved their defense in the offseason. We'll talk about that here coming up in one of these videos soon. They kind of stayed the same.
I can see that.
So, yeah, good defense, but if everybody else gets better, now you went from a top 5 to maybe 12. And if that offense struggles, if there's drama, and like we said, they're getting long in the tooth, how many more years can they do this? That's why they need Baker or they either need the NFL to decide that they're not going to do anything to punish Watson, which seems like a long shot at this
I think it seems unlikely.
Or they got to have Baker come out and play, and who knows? Who knows if that's going to happen or not? So, to me,
a lot of question marks.
I think if nothing else came out with Watson, we would have been saying that Cleveland absolutely won the offseason.
Absolutely.
But because stuff came out with Watson, because they pissed Baker off the way they did, because it looks like the NFL's probably going to suspend Watson, I almost got to think they are the biggest loser of the offseason at this point.
It sure seems like it to me. I mean...
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah.
They can't ever seem to capitalize against this. Like, man, they get right there. And like I said, I mean, for 2 years straight, I picked them to be the guys. You know what I mean? That was the guys. And they just never did it. And I almost feel like it feels like that window just... started closing again, like it does. It feels like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about a couple years ago when they had Baker and they brought in Odell and they had Landry, and it was like, man, and that defense
and Javidian Cloudy,
and it was like this team, and now the wide receivers have left, the quarterback's on his way out, and like we talked about with Cooper, like he's productive, he seems like a good receiver.
But why does he keep moving?
From team to team? And the Watson thing looks like a potential mess.
So a lot of questions there in Cleveland.
I gotta feel like they did not have a good offseason. I mean,
we'll have to see.
They could still end up being a good team.
Yeah,
they could still they could win the Super Bowl, and I wouldn't be completely shocked.
Yes,
I'd be a little surprised, but not completely shocked. But they could also come out
win 6 games,
and that draft pick's going to Houston. So they ain't doing you any good.
No.
They could find out that, Baker is on his way to sign some big contract somewhere else. Watson, after sitting for 2 years, is rusty as all get out and is going to struggle. And some of those defensive players are either moving on because they're tired of the offense not getting it done for them, or retire because their bodies have been beat up for nothing.
I mean, I think Javidian Clowney very well.
Yeah, so I think, that window is closing quick.
Yeah, and I hope that it doesn't. I hope that they end up making something out of it, because I do like the Browns. I love the Browns fans. I liken them to Cubs fans of baseball, where it's like you can sit there and deal with one bad disappointment after another, and still just maintain that thriving fan base. But man, I really wanted to see something come out of something, but I do feel like it almost has that feel that, man, I don't know, that window maybe got missed. So hopefully not. Hopefully Deshaun can come out there. Hopefully, hey, if a suspension doesn't happen, Deshaun steps on the field and he looks anything like he did prior to this, bro, with the team that you got around you, yes, that team is going to be dangerous.
Right there in the mix with all those other dangerous teams in the AFC for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
If that happens. But I think it's a long shot, and I think it's unlikely. Okay.
Agreed.
So thank you for giving us a watch here. If you got anything out of this content, give us a like, give us a subscribe.
Please comment. We'd love comments. We don't get a lot of them. He's on them before I even have a chance to respond to him. He's already responded to them. So please comment, and we will give your comment back to you. Probably we'll almost definitely respond to it. We'd like to know what you think. We'd like to know, especially when we're diving into these other teams that we're not fans of. Did we get it right? Are we close? Do you disagree with us? Was it wrong of me to keep saying the accusation? Is it wrong of me to refer to Deshaun Watson as the massage? Am I a bad person for saying those things?
No, I don't think so.
Or is that just funny?
Just funny.
Let us know what you think.
Okay, thank you for giving us a watch, and we look forward to seeing you next time.